Level 1. The Offer. On an ordinary Tuesday, in an office above a printing shop in the Gethsemane district of Cartagena, a man opens a ledger and writes a name in it. The name is yours. He writes it the way he writes everything in that book. Surname first, then given name, then a number. The number is 41,200,000. It is not a price. It is a figure from another book, in another office, across the city. The exact balance of a debt owed by a fisherman who died in March, transferred that morning in cash to a new owner. The man writing does not know you. He has never seen your face. He knows 3 things about you, and he writes those down too. That you work on boats, that your mother is sick, and that you have never once in 26 years been late with a payment you could afford to make. That last one is the reason your name is in the book. You are, in the language of the organization that owns this ledger, a reliable asset. They have a whole page of people like you. You are row 14. The organization does not recruit. Recruiting means asking, and asking means a person can say no. What it does instead is older and quieter. It finds a life that is already closing in on someone, slowly, legally with paperwork, and it buys the paperwork. Then it waits. It will wait 11 months before anyone speaks to you, and when someone finally does, it will feel like being rescued. That is the design. It is a very good design. The man who runs it has never once had to raise his voice. Your name is not important, because the point of this story is that it could be anyone's. You are 26 years old. You work at a dive shop in Manga, tying off boats, rinsing gear, carrying tanks for tourists who call you amigo and tip in dollars. You are good with engines. Your father was good with engines. It is the only thing he left you that was worth anything. The other thing he left you is 41 million pesos of debt. He borrowed it against a boat that sank from a man named Cuello, who does not shout. This is how it works up and down the coast. The go-fast crews are all ex-fishermen, because fishermen are the only ones who can drive those hulls, and the trade pays $10,000 a run to men who make that in a year. Every pilot you will ever meet out there started exactly the way you were starting. The organization does not invent drivers. It harvests them. Cuello has never shouted in his life. He sends a text message on the 1st of every month, and the message is always the same. The balance. Nothing else. No threat. No reminder. Just the number sitting in your phone like a subscription you never signed up for and cannot cancel. Your mother has a cough that has lasted 2 years. The clinic in your barrio charges 400,000 pesos a visit, and the inhaler is another 200. And some months you choose which of you eats properly, and she always finds out, and she always cries about it alone where she thinks you cannot hear. This is your life. And here is what you do not know. One ordinary morning, Cuello received a visit and a sports bag and a receipt to sign. The debt stopped being his that day. He was paid in full, every peso, and he was happy about it, and he went back to his other business, which is lending money to people whose names are not yet in any ledger. The texts kept coming. Same balance, same 1st of the month. But the man sending them was no longer the man you owed. He comes on a Tuesday at the slow hour between the morning dive and the afternoon one. He is 50, maybe 55. Linen shirt, reading glasses, the shoes of a man who has never stepped on a boat deck in his life. He says his name is Ricky, and he says it the way you say a name that does not matter, because the offer is what matters. He knows things before you tell him. He knows you rebuilt the shop's compressor twice. He knows the owner pays you under the table and shortchanges you by hours. He knows about your mother. He does not mention Cuello, and that absence sits in the conversation like a chair nobody is using. The offer is this. One night a month, you take a boat out. Not a dive boat. A go fast, 39 feet, twin 250s. A hull you already know how to drive because you have driven its sister 100 times for tourists. You follow a route you are given. You do not open the hold. You do not ask what is in it. You come back before dawn, and for this you are paid 4 million pesos a run, more than you make in 4 months at the shop. You ask the question everyone asks. He has the answer everyone gets. Senor, I am not asking you to carry anything. The cargo is already aboard. You are a driver like Uber, but the app is a photograph of a chart. He says this with genuine pride. If we are stopped, you are a man test driving a boat for a broker, and the paperwork in the glove box says exactly that. And it is real paperwork, and it will survive a real inspection. I have a guy. He is very good. He used to work for the registry. You ask him carefully, what happens to people who say no? He waves the question away like a fly. Silver or lead is a false choice, he says. Everyone takes silver. The lead is for people who are going to be a problem anyway. He says this the way a management consultant says it, and then he slides an envelope across the table. Inside is 2 million. Half a run in advance before you have said yes. For your mother's clinic, he says, whether or not we work together. You will think about that sentence for years, because it was the kindest thing anyone had done for you in a long time, and because it was a receipt. Level 2. The rhythm. The first run is so easy it frightens you more than difficulty would have. The boat is where he said it would be. The route is a photograph of a chart with a line drawn on it. The hold is locked and you do not open it. And the weight sits a little forward of where you would put it. And you feel that in the steering the way you feel everything about a boat. And you say nothing. You are back at the dock at 4 in the morning. A man you never see again takes the lines. By noon, the rest of the money is in your hand. You do 8 runs in 8 months. You learn the rhythm the way you learn tides. The nights are chosen for you. Never your choice. Always theirs. Always a text at 6 in the evening. Always a different dock. You learn that the organization is not a gang. It is a company. There is a dispatcher. There is a mechanic who services the boat and once casually mentions he has never met the owner. There is a man who pays you, and it is never Ricky twice in a row. On some runs, there is a 4th man aboard who does nothing, does not drive, does not load, does not speak. He is the cargo owner's representative. His whole job is to exist on the boat so that everyone behaves. Ricky calls him the guarantor, the way other people say the auditor. There is, you are fairly sure, a complaints procedure. The organization calls itself. In the few moments it calls itself anything. The office. This is funnier if you know the history. And the history is that the original office was a collections agency with a storefront, and it was the most feared address in the country. Your mother gets the inhaler every month now. Then the better inhaler. Then 1 month the clinic stops sending you bills entirely. The receptionist tells you a cooperative has taken over your mother's file. A pharmacy assistance program, she says, for chronic patients. You are so relieved you do not ask its name. You pay Cuello on the 1st of every month, and the balance goes down, and the texts keep coming. And for the first time since your father died, the number is moving in the right direction. You are, by every measure you know how to use, doing well. That is the most dangerous thing that has ever happened to you. The first crack comes from kindness, which is how they always come. You decide to thank the cooperative. You ask the receptionist for the name of the program paying your mother's bills, and she reads it off her screen. Cooperativa Farmacéutica del Litoral. You write it down. You look it up that night on your phone sitting on the roof of your building. There is no such cooperative. No registry entry, no address, no phone. No other patient in Colombia has ever mentioned it online. A pharmacy assistance program that pays real money to a real clinic every month and does not exist anywhere except on that receptionist's screen. You check 3 times because it is funny the first time and it is not funny the third. You sit with that for a week. Then you do the thing you should not have done, the thing that turns a crack into a door. You go to Cuello, not about the cooperative, about the debt. You have saved enough to make an offer, a lump sum, $20 million to settle early. It is the first time in your life you have ever had leverage, and you walk into his office feeling like a man. Cuello looks at you for a long time. Then he says a sentence that does not make sense until much later. Why are you offering this to me? He shows you the receipt, paid in full. Your father's debt, every peso of it, settled in cash 11 months before Ricky ever sat down across from you. Cuello has not owned your debt in over a year. He has just been forwarding the texts. Actually, he has not even been doing that. Somebody else sends the text now. Cuello does not know who. He does not want to know. At that price, nobody wants to know. The number you have been paying down for a year and a half was not going down. It was being reported down. There is a difference. Level 3. The ledger. You do not run. Where would you run to? That is not a rhetorical question. It is the actual architecture of the thing. Every road out of your life passes through something they own. The debt that isn't a debt. The clinic that isn't a charity. The job that isn't a job. You go back to work. What else is there? The 9th run is different in one detail. The route photo has a mark on it you have not seen before. A buoy, far out of the direct line, with a time written beside it. Hold position, 19 minutes. You do it. You kill the engine in the dark, and you sit there, and the boat turns slowly on the swell, and for 19 minutes, nothing happens at all. No rendezvous, no transfer, no signal, just you, and the locked hold, and the water, and the growing suspicion that you are part of a joke you cannot hear. You find out why 3 weeks later from a drunk harbor master's clerk who talks too much in a bar you both drink in. First, he tells you a different story, that a route on the river got moved last year because of the hippos. You laugh. He does not. The hippos are real, he says. Escobars. There are 200 of them now. Nobody's problem, officially. Then he tells you the real one. That night, at exactly that window, the Coast Guard patrol boat covering your side of the bay was called 40 minutes south. A report of a vessel in distress. A good report, a detailed one, filed from a phone inside the harbor office itself. There was no vessel in distress. The organization did not sneak you past the state. It picked up the state's telephone and moved the state out of your way, like rescheduling a dentist appointment. And the night you learn that, there is a knock on your door, and it is Ricky, and he is holding the ledger. He does not threaten you. He would never do that. He opens the book to your page and lets you read it. Your name, the number, the date your debt was purchased. And below that, in the same neat hand, 8 entries, 8 runs, 8 payments. Every envelope you ever took, itemized like invoices. People misunderstand us, he says. We are not violent. We are thorough. Then he tells you there is a 10th run, and that this one is special, and that the pay is double. And the counter on your life resets to 41,200,000. Level 4. The new normal. Part 2 of your life begins quietly, the way Part 1 ended, with you saying yes because yes is the only word left in the language they have built for you. The 10th run pays $8 million. There is a crew now, for the first time. 2 men. You are not told their real names, and you do not offer yours, and this is understood by everyone as professionalism. One of them is called Jefferson. He is 19, from Barranquilla, quick with a joke, useless with an engine, and he looks at the locked hold the way you used to look at it, like a question he has been told not to ask. You like him. That is a mistake, though not the kind you think. The work changes shape after the 10th run. It is no longer 1 night a month. It is 2, sometimes 3. The routes get longer, the boat gets bigger, and the organization begins, very gently, to trust you with the edges of itself. You are given a phone, a real one, not a text and burn, with 1 contact in it. You are told which harbor master not to worry about. You are introduced once to a man in a suit who is described to you only as the office, and who shakes your hand and says he has heard good things. Heard from whom? You wonder. You have never done anything but drive, but that is the thing you are slow to understand. Driving is the job. The whole job. The organization does not need you to be a criminal. It needs you to be a man who cannot afford to stop. And you cannot. That part was settled before you ever met Ricky. One morning, Jefferson is arrested. You hear it from the dispatcher in a flat voice. The morning after a run he was not on. Taken at his apartment, 2 in the morning. Police. A van. The dispatcher tells you the organization's position in 1 sentence. He knew nothing, so he can say nothing. He will be out in a week. A week passes. Then 2. Jefferson does not come back. You ask once. The dispatcher says the word lawyer, the way you say the word weather, a thing happening somewhere else, to someone else, on its own schedule. You stop asking. You are meant to stop asking. That is the lesson, and you learn it, and you feel yourself learn it, and that is the worst part. Here is what actually happened to Jefferson. There was no arrest, no van, no 2 in the morning, no booking at any station in the department. You check months later in the one way available to you, and there is no record of him anywhere in the system. His mother in Barranquilla received a death certificate. Drowned at sea, it says. A body was not recovered, it says. And with it came a payout. Not a pension, a payout. A single lump sum from a life insurance policy taken out on Jefferson 2 months before his arrest by a maritime workers fund that, like the pharmacy cooperative, does not exist. Read that again, because it is the darkest joke in this film, and it is also true to life. The organization insured him. Cartels have been running money through life insurance policies for decades. It is a real laundering channel, investigated and indicted and everything. But this is the other use. A crewman is an asset. Assets are insured. When the asset is retired, the policy pays out, the family gets the money, the organization gets a clean paper death, and everyone is taken care of in the most literal and most horrifying sense of the phrase. Jefferson, in other words, was worth more to them as a claim than as a crewman, and his mother sends the organization a card every Christmas. Jefferson is not dead. He is working for the organization in Buenaventura under a name that is not his, on boats that are not yours. By all accounts, he is doing well. He has, in a sense, been promoted. The arrest was a story. It was told to the crew the way a demonstration is given to a class. Look what we can make the paperwork say. Look how easily a person becomes a file becomes a death becomes a pension, and no one anywhere in the world can prove a single lie. They were not showing you what happens to people who fail them. They were showing you what they can do to the truth itself. Level 5. The special cargo. After Jefferson, the runs change again. They become what the dispatcher calls, the one time he ever names them, special cargo. The pattern is always the same. You take the boat out empty. At a rendezvous point, never a dock, always open water, always a different one. Something is transferred aboard from another vessel in the dark. It is heavy. It is loaded by men who do not speak. It goes in the hold, and the hold is locked from the outside, and the lock is not one you have a key for, and the weight is wrong. You have carried the product for a year. You know how it sits. Dense, low, dead center, packed tight so it does not shift. This sits differently. It is a single mass. It is slightly off the center line, and once, in a following sea, you feel it move. A small shift, a correction, the kind of movement cargo does not make. You tell yourself it was the sea. You tell yourself this with some effort. You make 4 special runs. Each one is a single leg. You take the weight from one point to one point, hand the boat to a crew you do not know at a dock you have never used, and you are driven home in a car with a bag over the seat where a passenger's head would be, so you cannot read the road signs. The driver is polite. He offers you water. You are paid $12 million a leg. Your mother moves to an apartment with an elevator. The debt counter the organization shows you goes down, and you no longer believe it, and you no longer need to. On the 4th run, the weight in the hold shifts twice. You do not open the hold. You never open the hold. That is the only reason you are still alive to hear the rest of this. One morning, a newspaper in Spain runs a story about a migrant boat intercepted off the coast, and the story has a photograph. You see it because the dispatcher sends it to you. No message, just the photo. It shows 14 people on a rescue launch, wrapped in blankets. 13 of them are looking at the camera or away from it. One is looking down, and he is holding his shoulders in a way you have seen before. Hunched forward, elbows in, the posture of a man trying to take up less space than his body occupies. You have never seen his face, but you know those shoulders. You watched them for 6 hours on a closed-circuit screen in the wheelhouse of a boat you were driving. A screen you were told was for watching the deck, and which you assumed showed an empty hold. The man is not a migrant. The Spanish police figured this out within a week, though the papers never print it. He is an accountant. For 19 years, he kept the books for an organization whose books are never supposed to exist, and whose books, this being the office, were immaculate, better kept than the storefronts ever were. When he decided to trade what he knew for a new life, the organization found out before the authorities did. In the old days, the Medellin days, the cowboy days, he would have simply disappeared, the way rivals disappeared when a group literally named itself People Persecuted by Pablo Escobar, a death squad with a name like a neighborhood watch committee. But the office is modern, the office is gentleman, and instead of killing him, it sold him to the very people he was trying to reach, delivered, alive, intact, and unable to ever explain how he crossed an ocean because he crossed it in 4 legs, in 4 locked holds, on 4 boats, driven by 4 men who each carried one piece of a journey none of them could describe. You were the 3rd leg. The dispatcher never explains why he sent you the photo. He does not have to. It is the same lesson as Jefferson, one level deeper. They are not hiding what you did from you anymore. They are showing it to you. Because a man who knows what he has done and stays is worth 10 who never asked. Level 6. The promotion. The film ends where it began. That is not a style choice. It is the organization's actual shape, a circle, and you have come all the way around it. Your mother's cough is managed. The apartment has a view of the water. The ledger still exists, and your page in it is full, and there has never been a final entry, because there is no such thing as a final entry. You understand that now the way you understand tides. You no longer drive. You sit in a cafe in Gethsemane at the slow hour, in a linen shirt, with reading glasses you do not strictly need, waiting for a 26-year-old who works at a dive shop in Manga. He is good with engines. His father left him a debt. He has never once been late with a payment he could afford to make. You know this because you bought the debt yourself 11 months ago with money that was given to you for the purpose. You have a file on him. You wrote some of it. Your handwriting, you notice, has gotten very neat. There is also a life insurance policy with his name on it, already filed, already active. You did not ask for that part. It came with the paperwork. Somewhere in the office's books, you have a policy too. You have never seen it. You know it is there the way you know tides. You are, for the first time in your life, insured. When he sits down, you will be kind to him. You will know things before he tells you. You will make an offer that is real. The work is real. The pay is real. None of it is a lie. That is the genius of it. None of it was ever a lie. You will tell him he is a driver like Uber, but the app is a photograph of a chart. You will slide an envelope across the table, and you will say it is for his family, whether or not you work together, and it will be the kindest thing anyone has done for him in a long time. And it will be a receipt. They never asked you to join. They just arranged your life until joining was the only door left, and then held it open like gentlemen. And now you are the gentleman holding the door, and the young man across the table is looking at the envelope the way you once looked at it, like a rescue. You do not tell him what it is. Nobody told you. That is how the book gets its next page.